Kids, in this chapter, we're talking about the evolution of future climate, and we said in the previous podcast that the future of climate evolution will depend on the choices we make for producing energy and moving around in terms of transportation choices, etc. But countries also have to now manage adaptation, which means how do we adjust to the changes and the climate impacts that are already happening, extreme rainfall, heat waves, etc. And we also have to manage mitigation, which means we have to reduce our emissions to reduce our impact on climate change. We want to reduce our impact on global warming and on ourselves and on our food production, on our health, etc. Right? So the future will depend on how the countries together and individually make choices on fossil fuel use, renewable energies, electric vehicles, buildings that will not emit a lot of greenhouse gases when constructed, or by using energy after construction, water, how we produce food, how we reduce emissions from agriculture, and so on. What is the big challenge? Of course, every country wants to have economic growth. Each country wants to get richer and richer and richer. Developing countries want to become developed countries. Low-income countries want to become middle-income or high-income countries, and so on. All these choices can be put on a map to say how difficult will it be in the future to adapt to the changes that will keep coming in terms of the impacts on food, energy, water, health, buildings, infrastructure, etc. And how easy it will be to mitigate, or how difficult it will be to mitigate in terms of taking out carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases we are already emitting, and so on. If we use fossil fuel to grow economically in every country, then we must find ways to take out greenhouse gases. So mitigation challenge will grow. If we reduce emissions and reduce the climate impacts, then adaptation challenges will decrease. Less and less efforts will be, less and less investment will be needed for adapting to climate impacts, and so on. So all these choices are used to say what are the potential options for the future for all the countries, and how will they choose, and how that will affect the total emissions, how those emissions will affect the energy we are trapping and the global warming, and how those global warming levels in turn will affect the choices we are trying to make in terms of our diets, our energy, our transportation, and so on. So it's a loop that we have to go through to understand our own impacts on climate change.